I am the host, Richard Ravenbrook, a man, a life coach, and a spiritual mentor who has endeavored to find real spiritual truth and self-enlightenment. With experiences in various ministry types, pagan traditions, and even magical paths. With a love for Mother Earth and the balance of life, I work to channel spirit and to help educate and mentor those striving to deconstruct from mainstream religion and to empower them to find the divinity within themselves and to the truth around them. The messages are focused on everyday life, creating an environment of real coexistence, a world of mutual respect, love, and dignity. The pagan preacher is all things, the preacher and the pagan, speaking from the wisdom of spirit. Greetings and merry meet, everybody. I am Richard Kent, founder and president of the Pagan Empire Incorporated. Coming at you today, I want to talk about a big issue we have in our country today. I want to talk about white Christian nationalism. Now, I don't want to just start this out sounding too extreme. I don't want to start it out sounding too militant, because it seems like, the Pagan Empire has been under attack lately. People saying that they're this or they're that, which is absolutely absurd. We are a peaceful organization. But moving on from there, we have an issue in this country. White Christian nationalism. The deal with white Christian nationalism is they want one religion. They want one doctrine. They want one way of life, and nothing else will do. There is no working for equality when it comes to white Christian nationalism. It's pretty much their way or the highway. We live in a country where people are told every day that the United States of America was founded upon Christian principles. But that's anything but the truth. This country was not founded upon Christian values. In fact, the founding fathers were deist. They were not Christian. This country was based upon freedom, and the freedom to choose whatever religion or path you chose to follow, or if you chose to follow no path at all. That is your choice. That's what makes the United States of America what it is today. Or is it? If we look out there, we look out even in our own towns, do we see a balance of religion? Or do we see only one? On every corner, it seems. On billboards, on the interstates. Everywhere we look, we're pounded and driven into a state of indoctrination where we're told that this is the only way. This is the one way of salvation, and no other way is the truth. No other way is acceptable. But in the United States of America, where is that freedom? We all want love and light. We all want peace. We all want to be, most of us just want to be left alone and left to do our thing and just be peace with everybody. That's what we want. But there comes a time when we've got to talk about these real issues. We've got to talk about the things that are on our mind and what affects us in our daily life. And white Christian nationalism, is most definitely on the top of our priority list of pagan issues that need addressed. And they're getting worse today than they were years ago. White Christian nationalism is on the growth right now. When it comes, or at least they're trying to. They're trying to, we can see this with the different various cults that are coming out right now saying that, it's that basically this is the only way. We've got to live this way. You have to, we've got to be Christian in this whole, your politicians and your teachers and everybody have to be Christians, or it's just not going to do. We've got to push Christianity. And I'm not talking about everyday Christians. There's a lot of loving and caring and sincere, open-minded Christians out there that have no issue with equality and religious liberty for all religions. We're talking about the radicals. We're talking about the extremists that just absolutely say, you know what? It's not acceptable in this country. Much like when they tried to have the Yule Festival, and I'm not going to give any names, but there was a city here in the United States that tried to have a Yule Festival. Already had their permits and everything else. But the local churches got together and tried to take that permit away from them. Tried to say that their town didn't have room for pagans. Their town didn't want pagans. This very act was against everything our country stands upon. And yet, we have people that want to cower in the closets and go back inside and just say, well, we're going to sweep this under the rug and we don't want to talk about it because we just want to be peace. We just want to, be left alone. But everybody, there comes a time when we've got to come out of the closets. We got to come out of the dark and say, look, this is for our children. This is for our grandchildren. This is 2023, and we've got people that are afraid to be who they are. White Christian nationalism, it's not just against pagans and magical-minded people. White Christian nationalism is against gays and every form of living that is outside of the Christian faith, whether there's be part of the LGBT community, or you be a pagan, or you be a witch, or whatever you may be. If it is outside the four walls of corporate Christian religion, you are seen as lesser. And that has to stop. And that's what the pagan empire is trying to do. That's what we're striving to do. People say that, well, there's a few people out there who want to claim that, hey, some of the people in the pagan empire are extremists. We're not extremists. We're passionate. We want this. We need this. And we're determined we're going to have this. But we do it in peaceful ways. We do it through debate and discussion and laws and creating new laws and working with our politicians and our teachers and just, trying to convince people that we can all live together in a mutual respect of differences and not have to be the same. That we can let the gods decide for themselves what's going to happen and what's not going to happen. But as humanity, we can live together in harmony. We can work together. But this white Christian nationalism, it's hard because we all have rights. I know that. We all have the right to believe what it is that we believe. We have the right to freedom of speech. But there's got to be a line somewhere. Because what happens when one religion begins to oppress another religion? Because their religion says that that's what they're supposed to do. What happens when one religion becomes so bigoted that people cannot live or pursue happiness? What do? We don't want to stop them because then that goes against what we're even trying to say here on this podcast about religious liberty. Because we all have the right to believe what it is that we choose to believe. But there has to be a way to say, look, you can believe what you want, I'll believe what I want, and we'll go from there. But you don't have the right to tell me that I have to live a specific way. Or you can't tell me that I cannot practice my faith out in the open. That I can't have my festivals, that I can't have my outside markets. And I can't do that without having street preachers telling all of our people coming in and out that they're going to burn for eternity if they don't turn their life over to their God. It's wrong, everybody. It's just simply wrong. You know, and I'm trying to, with my passion, I am very, very strong about this because I've seen it in my life, and I know other people have too. You know, we've seen it in our daily lives. We've seen our friends just persecuted, whether it just be a verbal persecution or a physical persecution, or, you know, up to, seeing people be fired from their jobs, and just the things that just should not happen. And you're going to say, well, but those people have the right to do what they're doing. They have the right to freedom of speech. They can say what they want. If they don't believe in that person wearing a pentacle, they have the right to say so. But where do we draw that line between freedom of speech and flat out respect? Mutual respect of differences. You are entitled. Everyone is entitled in this country to believe what it is that you want to believe or not to believe. But you do not have the freedom to suppress or oppress in this country. But quietly, that's what we have allowed in this country. We have allowed one religion to dominate our entire country. We have let one religion dominate our schools, our businesses, our homes, our towns, our communities. One religion. And even within the Christian faith, prophecy says that one day everything would be one religion. And that one religion was not going to be good. That one religion, in fact, would be the fall of mankind, would be the fall of everything that we hold dear to ourselves. And what does Christian or white Christian nationalism want? They want that one religion. Could, in fact, evil be hidden within the four walls of that particular church? Now, please note again, I'm not talking about all Christians. And I'm not talking about Christianity in itself. I'm talking about the radicals and the extremists and those that want to demand that it has to be their way or the highway. Somewhere, it's been infiltrated into the Christian faith, an evil so dark, hidden under the light of goodness and holiness, but is anything but the truth and is anything but that. White Christian nationalism will be the destruction of everything that we hold dear unless we quench the hateful, bigoted, bias, mannerism that happens from these extremists. How do we do that? That's for each of us to kind of sit and evaluate how we do that. Obviously, the pagan empire chooses to do everything peacefully, as we said. How do we do that? How do we quench these things? Perhaps maybe what we just do is, as pagans and magical-minded people or whatever we are, maybe if we just start outwardly expressing our thoughts and our feelings, then it'll begin to balance. Maybe that's the problem. Maybe the problem is that those white Christian nationalists are out there every day pounding the streets, preaching their doctrine, their religion. But are we? Or are we hiding in our homes, in our so-called broom closets, afraid to come out because somebody will say a negative word about us, or our family might disown us, or the place we work might tell us that they don't want us anymore? It's sad that we even have to consider that in the year 2023 and in a free country. But sadly we do. But maybe that's what we've got to do as a group. And that's part of what the pagan empire is about, is that unity and common interest. A lot of people thought that, the pagan empire was seeking to represent pagans and all traditions. And we don't choose to represent. We don't represent anyone. What we do is unite people in that common interest. They represent themselves. They represent what it is that they stand for. We are just the vessel for the unification. Us, we are the pagan empire. It's not about an organization. It's not about a group. It's about us doing what it is that we have to do to quench this disease of Christian white nationalism and to create a place of freedom and true religious liberty and equality. That if a specific pagan religion or faith or whatever you may be, if you wanted to build a temple right beside a Christian church, that there would be no issue. The Christians can go in and worship in their house, their church, and the pagans can go in and worship in theirs. And there'd be peace. Is that possible? Yes, I believe it is very well possible. If we can come to the point in our life where we have, like I say, a mutual respect of differences. And we as humans choose to stop playing the role of the gods and let the gods be gods. And let us, humans, be humanity. May mankind unite in our common interest. Freedom, equality, happiness, harmony. You know, it's so simple. Harmony. It's so simple. All it requires is, like so many religions talk about, each of us focusing on ourselves. Don't worry about what your neighbor's doing. Worry about yourselves. Worry about what's going on within you. Focus on your own enlightenment, my own enlightenment. Don't worry about what your neighbor's doing. Don't worry about what that church is doing or what that pagan temple's doing. Worry about what you're doing. Have respect for what they believe and what they want to achieve in their life, just as you would want that for yourself. You want love? Give love. You want respect? Give respect. You want freedom? Give freedom. That's how this world works. Or should I say, that's how this world should work. The answers to peace and harmony and equality are actually so simple, but yet so hard. Why? Because we have a few out there that want to use religion and use tactics to control. And they use these methods of control. They use these methods to convince people that if you don't follow this, you're going to suffer. Or that you're going to somehow or another not fit into the normal society of what is normal. You know, we build that even in our schools and in our churches, everywhere you go, in our temples, in our pagan communities. It's seen everywhere where we build social cliques and little groups of, cool people and not cool people. And those are the things that have to stop. Competition. A lot of people think competition creates leaders or competition creates good things. But in reality, most competition, all it does is push people apart. And it separates, because then you get the winners and you get the losers. You get we've been taught from the very beginning that in order to be successful, we've got to be winners. And that's not necessarily true. We can be successful in our lives if we just do what is right for us. Most people in this world, they live, but they've never had a real life. They've never experienced what it is that their heart wanted. They've never experienced their true passion because they followed what somebody else told them that they should do. They followed a path that, well, everybody says that this is right. This is what you're supposed to do. But it wasn't their path, and it wasn't what they wanted. And white Christian nationalism is doing that throughout our entire country, and has been for years. And it may have been done with good intention. It may have started with good intention, because there is a lot of good moral, how do I want to say it? There's much that it is in Scripture and the words of Jesus that are very good for everyday living. But somehow the words were twisted, misused, mistranslated, and used to control a people. And now we have an issue that seems to be unstoppable. But I choose to believe that there is a way to stop it and to create a world where people can be what they want to be, who they choose to be, and without judgment, without condemnation, without the hate, without the bigotry. True freedom and true equality. And I know we have people out there that say, you know what, you're a lot of talk, but that's just, people have tried that over and over and over. But you know one thing we haven't tried? We haven't tried to do this together. One group, one organization, we haven't done this truly together. Every pagan organization, every pagan group, every coven, every pagan individual should be united in this common interest. And not just pagans and magical people, but everybody that has a religion or a faith or a practice that doesn't fit into the mainstream normal. We have to step out. We've got to be bold and step forward and say, this is who I am, this is who I'm proud of, and this is who I'm going to be, and I'm not going to stand in the darkness anymore. I'm going to be out in the light, and I'm going to be the light for my people. I'm proud of who I am, and I won't accept anything else other than respect. If my work decides that they don't want me anymore because I'm pagan, well, then I'll use the law against them. If people want to persecute me online, then we have cyberbullying laws. Whatever it may be, there are ways to counter it. Peaceful ways to counter it. But we have to employ those things. And we have to be bold. If it requires us to march, if it requires us to protest the protesters, we have that right in this country. We have the right to peacefully protest. That's our right as U.S. citizens. And it's not wrong to protest. It just has to be done right, peacefully, diplomatically, and within reason. But there is an issue in this country. And it's time that we talk about it. It's time that we put it on the table and say, yes, this definitely is an issue. And it needs to be solved. We want freedom for everybody. We want everybody to be able to do and be who it is that they want to be. But there's no room in a free country for religions that suppress and oppress. And if white Christian nationalism, if they cannot come to a level of respect for all religions, then perhaps it doesn't belong in the United States. Perhaps the whole idea of religious oppression and religious persecution should be driven out of the United States and replaced with mutual respect of differences. Just honoring each other and honoring our choices, letting people be who it is that they are, just being free of judgment and without having to worry about shame, worried about what family's going to say or what your friends are going to say. Because we live, in this world that says, and we can. Like so many different things that said that, people say, well, that's never going to happen. But you know what? If we look around us, many of the things that we were told would never happen are happening. Things are getting better in certain fronts. The LGBT community, look 20 years ago and compared that to today's society. There's a lot of work to go. There's a lot of work to do. But there's a lot more freedom in today's society than it was 20 years ago. As pagans and magical-minded people, we've got to do that same thing. Don't be ashamed anymore. Be proud, be bold, be firm. Be peaceful, but be seen. Let us all stand together and declare in a peaceful manner that we're done. We're done being oppressed. We're done having our faith suppressed and quenched and quieted in this society. That one religion is not the will of the United States of America. We want freedom. Real religious liberty. We want freedom. We're already supposed to have it. Let's take it. Let's take it back. Let's take it back to where it began. Before a few zealous, over-ambitious people, completely with good intentions, I'm sure, destroyed the entire idea of religious liberty by forcing, even if it's a quiet forcing, of that one faith, that one religion, that one way of life. Let's be bold, everybody. Let's stand. Let's do what we can on social media. Let's do what we can in every area. Be peaceful with what you do. Try to do everything in love. And that's hard sometimes, especially when the world comes against you. Or when they come against someone you love. But Martin Luther King Jr. taught us that many good things could come and that they could have been achieved, or they could be achieved in a peaceful manner. He taught us that. And we can apply that to pagans and magical-minded people. We just have to do the same thing. This country has come a long way in its effort to quench bigotry and racism, and we've come a long way, but we've got a long way to go to reach that harmonious state of coexistence. But I believe that we can do it, where it doesn't matter of who you are, or what race you are, or what religion you are, or what your sexual orientation is. That people are looked upon solely because of their character and the kind of person they are. And that we can work together in society. We could use our gifts and our talents to work together instead of apart. We stop the competition and we work together to achieve greater things. That we can start taking care of Mother Earth instead of worrying about our luxuries and our toys. Take a moment today and just think about what I've said. White Christian nationalism. What do we do about it? How do we do it? Where do we start? Those are the questions. This has been Richard Kent from the Pagan Empire. Be blessed, everybody, and blessed be. Thank you, everyone. This is Richard Ravenbrook. From my heart to yours, I hope you are blessed. Please be a blessing. Share these podcasts. Share my short videos. Tell the world the work that's being done Help me open the minds of those so closed. Help me bring into the fold those seeking truth and enlightenment. Be blessed.